Did you know that not every intelligent person is wise, but every wise person is intelligent? What an irony. I mean, I got to thinking about it because to a very large extent, I'm very sapiosexual. Even though I haven't always dated within that category, but I used to focus in the past. I used to focus so much on the brain, the intelligence. But I mean, as time has gone on, um, I would rather a wise person because wisdom is a combination of both the brain and the heart. So I would rather a wise person because the mind of a wise person will blow you away. I mean, I've always said it that once I can learn from somebody, once I'm blown away or I'm wowed by someone's mind, come rain, come sunshine, come whatever it is, I will be there trying to just listen to what the person has to say. Let me give you a good example, right? There was once I went out with a friend, with a few friends, and we went for a party. And as we got there, we saw other friends gathered around the table, so we sat down there with them as well. So everybody started speaking in like twos and threes and everything, and there was somebody sitting next to me, a guy, and we started talking. Mind you, it wasn't anything personal. He wasn't trying to chat me up or anything, but we had such a great conversation, right? The conversation was so great. And it wasn't long after my friend said, "Oh, we have to go, we have to go." And I'm like, "Oh my God." And because I was really enjoying the conversation. And then he was as well. So he was like, "You know what? We should exchange contacts and everything. We should definitely finish this conversation." I think it had to do with maybe business or what. I can't remember. To be honest, I can't remember. And then we exchanged contacts and I went my way. 2 days later, I'm trying to rush through because I really don't want to waste time. So 2 days later, I was home. I laid down. In the evening, it was like one of those days when I was in and out of sleep. I didn't want to be disturbed. And then my phone rang. And I only wanted to pick it up to dismiss whoever it was, right? I didn't feel like speaking. And then it was him. And I don't know, maybe he had said like one or two things that for some reason I wasn't able to dismiss him. So I kept listening to what he was saying. You wouldn't believe that conversation took 4 hours. It wasn't so much of a dialogue. It was more of like a monologue. He was one speaking. But every time I kept looking at my phone like, wow, is it the same person? Don't get me wrong. Like I said, the conversation we had was really interesting, but I didn't expect somebody. He looks like one of those like really shallow party boys kind of people. Yes, I get that. He can probably talk about business or talk about, a lot of people are well versed in various aspects of life, like sports, politics, whatever, current affairs, culture, whatever it is. But I did not expect that amount, that level of depth, right? So I kept looking at my phone like, oh my God, wow, oh my God, wow. And the conversation somehow took 4 hours. It was so profound. It was so deep. Anyway, after that call, the next day I woke up and trust me, the usual me, right? I was itching to call. Like I said, it wasn't even anything personal. It wasn't trying to chat me up or anything. All day I was looking at my phone like, should I call? Should I not call? I really needed to hear more of that. You understand? I needed to hear more of it. And I'm like, should I call? Should I not call? So I stood with my phone all day. By evening, you know what? I couldn't take it anymore. So I called. And then after calling, I spoke to him for a while. And it was like somebody else completely. He went back to that first impression I had of him, that shallow party. And, initially I was like, okay, you know what, let me give it some time. And I'm sure maybe after about 20 minutes, I'd had enough. And I just said to him, you know what, let me call you back. I need to quickly do something or whatever it was. So what I really wanted to do was check the number. Like, this couldn't have been the same person that I had this profound conversation with yesterday. They couldn't have been the same person. So I dropped the phone. I looked at it. It was the same number. I was shocked. By the time he called me back, obviously it was like some bubble had been deflated because I just kept going, yeah, yeah. So he goes, oh, you sound really sad. I'm like, don't worry, Jerry. I'm just tired. Yeah, I have to go to bed. After that, we never spoke again. The mystery was over. Anyway, seriously though, a lot of people have become wise based on their experiences, life experiences, past experiences, and the knowledge they have. But there's a certain type of wisdom that supersedes all that. This is the type of wisdom that gives you happiness, health, and wealth. It gives you knowledge and it adds understanding to it. This type of wisdom only comes from God. Check the book of James 3:17. Now, the way to acquire this wisdom is by total submission to God. See, what you would have to do is everything you've ever learned, you would have to unlearn everything and give yourself in total submission to the Holy Spirit and let the Holy Spirit take over. See, let me give you an example. Imagine you have like an external hard drive, right? And your external hard drive has movies, it has music, it has all your documents, it has your data, your information, and all you have to do anytime you need all this information is power it to your laptop or your computer, and you access whatever information you want. So imagine you had to delete everything on that hard drive, that sort of thing, and then allow somebody else to put their information on it. That was the sort of wisdom that was given to Solomon, right? He became one of the richest men that ever lived. This is the sort of wisdom that made Solomon marry 700 wives, 300 concubines, and there was no record of them beating each other to a pulp. I mean, a man has 2 women in his lives and is already issues, right? So, but there was no record of anything like that with him. That sort of wisdom. It was the sort of wisdom that inspired him to write the famous Songs of Solomon, right? The sort of wisdom that brought the Queen of Sheba to see him after she heard of his greatness and everything. I once heard that the Queen of Sheba was sorry, what's that thing called now? You know when somebody is like half human, half angel? A Nephilim. Sorry about that. Okay, I once heard that she was a Nephilim because the Bible does not really explain her origin, right? But she's not. What I did was I became quite curious. So I picked up a book in Judaism, right? To know more about her. Now, she's not a Nephilim. She's an Ethiopian queen, right? Her name is Bilqis. And she's also sapiosexual. That's the funny thing. She's very, very sapiosexual, very wealthy as well. So when she heard about Solomon's wisdom and his greatness and his riches and everything, she became very curious. So she journeyed to see Solomon. And when she got there, she went there with hard questions, like questions normal people would not be able to answer. But when she got there, it was recorded in that book that the whole day they bantered, like the whole town came out, and between her and King Solomon, they bantered in riddles and everything, and Solomon absolutely blew her mind away. Long story short, by the time she left King Solomon, she was actually pregnant for him. And months later, she went back to her, she stayed there for a while, then she went back to Ethiopia. And by the time she got there, months later, she bore him a son. I didn't finish reading it. Well, I haven't finished reading it. I think I kind of felt like I was cheating on the Bible, reading the other books. God said, I will use the foolish things to shame the wise. I'm one of those foolish things. No, seriously, I'm not trying to talk down on myself, far from that. But I'm one of those foolish things, to be honest. Let me tell you why. If anybody has received so much negative backlash from serving God, I have. And it's not even from the worldly people, not necessarily. It's from the wise, the godly people, irrespective of the religion. You know, there's nothing they did not say. There's nothing I didn't hear. Oh, look at her. She doesn't even act like a Christian. And God said, I'm not looking for actors. Oh, she doesn't look like this. She doesn't talk like that. She doesn't do this. She doesn't do that. And they're probably right. But one thing she has done right is that she has released the world and everything to do with it. And she has returned back to God with her tail between her legs. She has unlearned everything she thinks she knows, and she has submitted completely to the guidance of the Holy Spirit. And it has saved my life. I say it all the time. I'm only here on grace. I'm only existing on grace and mercy of God. Otherwise, I wouldn't have been here. Let me explain, right? One of the experiences I had that made me completely surrender was a few years back, right? I experienced something you would call the great betrayal. It was grave. It was brutal. Now, imagine this, right? Imagine I know 100 people. I'm just throwing out figures. Imagine I know 100 people and 90 of those people actually betrayed me brutally. Now, 60 out of that 90, right, are people that I genuinely cared about. These were people that I would leave my own life aside, and you know, they're going through stuff, right? And I would say, okay, so you're going through fire. It's okay. Don't walk through it alone. hold my hand and we'll walk through it together. At least if it's not just you, then it doesn't seem so bad. Let's get through it together. Those sort of people. And that was what made the betrayal so grave. I mean, the remaining 30 people were people probably I didn't really know or were not close enough. And what made it strange and unbearable was that everything happened at the same time, towards the same period, within the same year, just a few months apart. You know, the funny thing was somebody once said to me to write a book, not just about that experience, but about things I've experienced, even from childhood up to this point. And I said to that person, I would. It's just people would think it's fiction. Nobody would believe it. Like, how is this person still standing here and has been through all this? It's not possible. It's just a story. It's just fiction, you know? But anyway, so it was all towards the same period. And I think it stung and it was really painful because I still don't know my offense. If I did, like, I'm one of those people that I take responsibility for my part in whatever part I played in it, but I still don't know my offense. So every day was a new discovery of something that somebody had done. Every day was something new. Every day was something different. And I was handling it. I kept handling it like, okay, you know what, it's fine. Until one particular day, I couldn't take it anymore. I was going down, the arrows and the knives and everything. I had knives to my back, not literally. I'm speaking figuratively. The arrows and the knives of backstabbing and betrayal, it was too much. I could not take it anymore. Honestly, I don't know what would have happened that day because I couldn't handle it anymore. I was going down. I would have snapped. I don't know what would have happened to me. And as I stood and thought, what sort of life is this? You know, as I was going through that motion, I didn't know what would have happened next. I felt a dip in my spirit, like, take off your shoes. Now, like I've always said, I hardly ever walk around, even with indoors, I hardly ever walk around barefoot, right? I would wear Crocs and stuff, you know? So I took off my shoes. And I felt to play music. It wasn't even like praise and worship. It was just, I had like different playlists, right? Because I listen to all genres of music. So I played a playlist. It was a bit fast. And I heard, start dancing. It seemed stupid. It seemed crazy. But I didn't even have the strength to think it through. So I started dancing. I started dancing to this playlist. Was it dumb? Absolutely. But I couldn't stop dancing. So I was dancing and dancing. I don't even know how many hours I was at it. At some point, I jumped on the sofa. I flew from one sofa to the next sofa. I just kept jumping and I kept dancing. It was dumb, but I kept doing it. It was stupid, but I kept doing it. It was crazy, but I kept doing it. I was singing along. I was dancing. I don't even know how many hours. And when the playlist finally stopped, I can't tell you if it was night or day, or this started in the late afternoon. I don't even know if it was dark or not. But I remember I flopped down on the sofa and I slept off. I just slept. When I opened my eyes, it was the following morning, right? And I got up, took a shower, and came back, clicked on the TV, and it was like nothing happened. Then after a while, it occurred to me that, oh, yesterday something had happened. So I was making myself think about it like, oh yeah, okay, so this was what happened yesterday. Somebody did this to me. This person did this to me. And for some weird reason, I couldn't reach that pain anymore. I felt nothing. Absolutely nothing. No pain, no hurt, nothing. I didn't understand it. I wanted to be angry. I wanted to make myself remember how it felt. I wanted to make myself, I could never, till today, I can't reach that pain anymore. Anything else I heard about after that was just, yeah, whatever. It didn't even bother me anymore. Submit to God and lean not on your own understanding. If I had leaned on my own understanding, I would have thought it was the most stupid thing to start dancing in that sort of situation. I don't know what would have happened. I might have gone into depression. I don't know what would have happened. Proverbs 19:8 says, whoever gets wisdom loves his own soul. So more than riches, more than clout, more than gain, seek wisdom and everything else will be added onto you. Namaste.